was received this story a few days ago, and when I looked into it, I thought this was quite ridiculous. But once again, you had white women calling the police on a black man. Now, this time, this black man was gardening in the community. Now, why would you call the police on a black man that's gardening? How is that hurting anybody? Well, it's the same thing like as we stated before. Why would you call the police on a child selling water, or people barbecuing, or just standing outside smoking a cigarette? I mean, you know, just literally existing. So I want you to hear all the details with this particular story, because these women, who are straight white supremacists, in my opinion, they just went way too far with it. Let's roll the clip.
These women, you know, clearly were lying, you know what I mean? Clearly they were lying.
They complain, saying that you have threatened them in the past.
Marc Peeples says for months, 3 women who are white repeatedly called Detroit police on him for working on a garden in an old park on the city's east side, falsely accusing him of being a pedophile and having a gun. And when he painted trees red, black, and green, colors of the Pan-African flag, he was accused of being in a gang.
None of this was true. None of it is true. You know, it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't, this was purposely done to try to destroy my life.
People's attorney Robert Burton Harris says this was a case of
gardening while black, where you have people calling the police on mostly African Americans for doing very mundane things.
Do you think she moved into this neighborhood to be called a racist?
This man is a friend of one of the 3 women whose complaints ultimately landed Peeples in handcuffs, charged with 3 counts of misdemeanor stalking.
So you got to cuff me and all that?
They were willing to call me a pedophile. They were willing to call me a gang-banging, gun-toting racist, you know what I mean? And I was doing anything but planting the seed, you know, to try to help my community grow.
Hey, the part about him coming out and farming and teaching kids how to farm, it's fantastic. Oh my God, you know, please do more of that, you know. But at the same time, you can't get done digging a hole over here and teaching kids how to do it and then walk over and say, I'm going to burn your house down and run you out of here because you're white.
But when Peeples went on trial this week, 36th District Court Judge Elanise Bryant acquitted Peeples, siding with the urban farmer in a directed verdict. And she believes this was a case very much about race.
It was clearly, in my opinion, that these ladies had engaged in not only harassment of Mr. Peeples, but illegal conduct towards Mr. Peeples.
They just strictly thought that their so-called white privilege was going to work this time, and it didn't.
Marc Peeples and his attorney say they now plan to file a civil lawsuit against the 3 women for, at the very least, defamation.
So that's quite funny that they stated that because he painted a Pan-African flag, he's in a gang. I didn't know gangs waved the Pan-African flag. That's new to me. But you heard they called him a pedophile. They say he was a stalker and all these other things that happened with his brother, but he's trying to plant some food. Brothers can't do nothing without being harassed. Now, it went to trial, as you heard, and it was dismissed. And shout out to that judge for seeing right through the racism and white supremacy of the 3 women. It's just that simple. We have seen over and over, and you heard how they weaponized 911 because they're trying to enact Jim Crow in this country all over again, and they use 911 to do it. You saw the police harassing his brother constantly because they're lying on him, and we have to sit up there and deal with the lies of white supremacist females, which is totally wrong and not acceptable. And when are we as a people in our community going to start mobilizing together to demand the abuse of 911 needs to be some sort of crime, because they're using that to harm and possibly kill black people. Think about it. What they kept saying, a black man stalking me. Do you know that's like an offense that can get a black man killed, of a white woman saying you're being stalked? I even had a white girl at Politicon agree with me that that's what they're trying to do, is kill black people. A lot of white people know what's going on in this country when they're doing that, the weaponization of 911, and hopefully they can use their personal goon squad, the cops, to kill black people. Now, yes, this brother needs to sue them for everything that he can get civilly, because the black people, we can't be, oh, well, you know, I forgive or I'm going to let it go. Man, forget letting it go. Man, sue on top of sue. Anytime they call the police on you, and I would try to figure out if I could sue them for something. Because no, forget that. They need to know that it should be a consequence for calling the police on someone and a crime did not happen. I mean, something got to give. You know, lawyers in the black community, you need to start letting us know how we can sue civilly on these people when they do this, because this has to stop. Because the only way they're going to stop unless there's a consequence. If no consequence is going to happen to them when they're doing this, then they're going to keep doing it. We as black people have to make them stop doing it, because the government not going to make them stop doing it. They're cool with them doing this. But if enough of them get sued and they have to start paying out lawsuits, they'll quit usually. But, you know, I don't know. I say that, but then it's the same people that say they have a high IQ, but yet they'll call the police, they'll be exposed as a racist, and then they'll say, I'm not a racist, I got black friends, I had sex with black people before, my in-law is black, but you know, all the little same crap that they normally say. But it just, every day, ladies and gentlemen, every single day, it is something. You can't just even exist. But it's good they're doing this. In this time period, they're showing their hand. It is a great thing, because it's time for black people to wake up. It's time for us to do for ourselves and to finally separate ourselves like everyone else in the area of production, creating community, banking, you know, with our community, shopping, just really being productive, because this separating ourselves as being alone and individuals is not going to work for the black community at all.